Hey everybody, Captain B-Nard back here with another Wi-Fi battle. Today we have week 8 of the BHDL4. That is going to be against Kobra, an individual who we've played once before here on the channel in Scarlet and Violet. So we'll go ahead and get the match on its way here. Very important game for different reasons for both of us. But let's see what he has in store for us. IGM is going to be Kobra, of course. And so let's take a look here. He's got the Roaring Moon. He's got the Goldango. He's got the Dunsparce. He's got the Typhlosion, Hisuian Typhlosion, that is. He's got the Tentacruel. And he's got the Virizion. Alright, so a couple surprises here, honestly. I wasn't really expecting to see the Virizion, so that's a little bit of a shock. I was actually expecting to see the Galarian Weezing, so I'm kind of surprised not to see that. But yeah, so what do we want to lead with here is the question. I feel like I had a little bit of a game plan going into this one, and I feel like my best choice is to go ahead and lead with Rotom Wash in this one. Since I see certain things and I don't see other things, that kind of makes me want to lead with Rotom Wash, so that's what we're going to do. And yeah, we'll see how that works out. So as I mentioned, important game for both of us here. After last week, the Pidgeys are actually mathematically locked into playoffs, although we are fighting for position here because the top coaches get to choose their opponents in the quarterfinals. So very important game for us nonetheless. We'll see what we can do against this guy as he's going to go ahead and lead with Goldango straight away as we lead with the Rotom Wash. So that's actually not a bad situation for us. I'm expecting this Goldango to probably be, since he led with it, I would say probably choice in some capacity. So he has no electric immunities on deck here, so we're very safe to go for a Choice Specs Volt Switch here, which I think I will just go straight for. I don't see any reason not to, so we're just going to do that straight away. He does actually outspeed us and go Shadow Ball, and holy crap, based on that damage output, that is definitely going to be Specs, I think. So he does a truckload of damage, we do a truckload of damage in return with a Volt Switch, and we get the pivot advantage. So that's way more damage than I wanted to take on Rotom, but I feel like that has to be spec damage on the Goldango, because it does naturally outspeed the Rotom, I believe. We have no speed investment, so I think what we can do here, I feel like we can come in with Indeedee is immune to Ghost. So I feel like if that is Specs damage, which I feel like it has to be, that just did way too much damage to not be Specs, I feel like. Yeah, I feel like that did way too much damage to not be Specs. So let's go ahead and come in with Indeedee. I mean, we could, you know what? Actually, we could come in with Grimmsnarl instead. What do we want to do here? Let's go Grimmsnarl. Let's go Grimmsnarl, because I feel like that's Specs. I feel like that's 100% Specs damage. So I'll come in with Grimmsnarl. Let's check something out here. Let's see here. Doing something I don't normally do. Yeah, that was 100% Specs damage. So he's going to switch out. We know that. The question is, what does he switch into? I feel like, because it's going to depend what he switches into here, depends on what screen we want to get up. I feel like his switch to this might be Tentacruel. So I feel like getting Light Screen up first is more beneficial. So let's go Light Screen first here. And he does switch, so he's got to be, based on that damage output, he's got to be Specs on that thing. So he's gonna switch into Tentacruel. So that's kind of okay. We go for the Light Screen, get that set up on him, which is actually pretty good. So we're going to be taking far less damage from special attacks now. So the question is, what do we want to switch into this thing? I feel like Goodra is probably the best answer to this thing. We don't actually really have anything good to hit this thing with Goodra, which kind of sucks. We could also go Mudsdale. Rotom took so much damage that we can't really switch that in, unfortunately. I mean, I guess we could. He could go for the water move here. He could go for a knockoff. I don't want to do that with Rotom. I really don't want to do that with Rotom. That's the problem. Alternatively, we could go into Indeedee, but he could knock off. It's a little bit of a difficult choice, actually. What do we do? I kind of want to go... You know what? Let's go into... This might seem like a weird play. Goodra. Let's go Goodra. I don't really have the best of direct switches to this thing, but I don't really want to leave Grimmsnarl in because we don't really have a good move to hit this thing with. But we come in with Goodra. We do have that special defense boost for several turns, so that's going to be huge. He goes for a flip turn, which is kind of fine. That does nothing to us damage-wise. The only bad news is it does give him the pivot, so he's going to get to bring up a matchup against the Goodra. We know that the Tentacruel is flip turn. So there's that. So what does he want to come in with to face the Goodra? Obviously he has a lot of options here, but we do have the special defense increase for 8 whole turns. He has no way of getting rid of that. So his special attackers are definitely going to be hindered for the next several turns in the game here, which is positive. He is going to come in with the Virizion, interestingly enough. So that thing comes in. We are going to get some HP back with the leftovers. Not 100% sure what this thing wants to do here. He could obviously hit us pretty hard on the physical side. What can he do with the Virizion? That's the question. What does he want to do? He could take this opportunity to try to Swords Dance. I don't think Virizion gets super effective coverage against Goodra, but at the same time, I also don't want to take a potentially huge shot with Goodra. So he could take this opportunity to Swords Dance, which would be huge. What does he want to do here? Does he want to Swords Dance? Or does he want to... What does he want to do? I feel like we don't leave Goodra in because we don't want to take a big shot. We could just go back to the Grimmsnarl. Is a pretty safe play. And get the other screen up. Yeah, let's go Grimmsnarl. See what he wants to do. I don't really want to take a big shot with Goodra. Hopefully he doesn't Swords Dance, because that would be bad news. We'll come in with Grimmsnarl. What does he want to do here? He does Swords Dance. That's actually really bad. So he goes ahead and gets that attack increase, which is really bad. I feel like now we definitely put the Reflect up. Yeah, we definitely put the Reflect up now. And we go for the Reflect. We get that defense boost for several turns, which is something, as he is going to Leaf Blade. Okay, so that does about 50% to the Grimmsnarl. So we should... Let me just make some notes here. We should be able to barely take one more of those. So I feel like we have to play rough here, as this thing is kind of freezing up on me. Not again, OBS. We have to. I think we have to play rough here. Yeah, let's play rough. He does go for another Swords Dance. Very greedy play on his side. Can we hit the play rough? He's at +4 attack. Please hit the play rough. Yes, we do connect with the play rough, and it just goes ahead and takes that Virizion down outright, knocking him down to 5 Pokemon. So very, very greedy play on his side. Thankfully, we were able to land the play rough and get rid of that Virizion, because that could have been a huge problem for us. So Virizion goes down, and he goes down to 5 Pokemon, which is amazing. Now he's going to come in with the Goldengo once again. We know this thing specs. He's probably going to go for a Make It Rain if I had to guess here. I feel like we know he specs, right? So I think we can pretty safely just click Sucker Punch here as our last move. So let's just go for it. Let's Sucker Punch him. Is it going to work? We go Sucker. Yes, it does work. We catch the Goldengo off guard with the Sucker Punch in an incredible turn of events. It's enough to take it out, knocking him down to 4 Pokemon. So Grimmsnarl absolutely putting in the work early in this one. Absolutely amazing for us, getting rid of 2 huge threats there. I'm very happy to get rid of the Goldengo, because that thing could have definitely been a big problem. So now he's going to go ahead and come in with the Tentacruel. And so I want to check how many turns we have with our screens here. So we have 2 turns left with the special defense increase on the light screen, 5 turns with the reflect left. So we can, I feel like we definitely switch here. I'm not 100% sure what I want to switch into. He could also flip turn, but at the same time, I mean, we could stay in and try to get some chip with the Grimmsnarl, but I kind of want to keep the Grimmsnarl around as it has some valuable resistances to some of his other Pokemon. So I kind of want to just go into Goodra again. Kind of want to go into Goodra again, but I also kind of want to Sucker Punch for damage. Let's go into Goodra again, because I feel like this thing can't really do much to Goodra, even though Goodra can't really do much to it in return. But I feel like it can't really do much to Goodra. So we'll come in with Goodra, see what he wants to do here, as he is going to go for a Sludge Wave. So that's kind of fine. Does very little damage to Goodra. No poison, which is good. And then we get some HP back with the leftovers, which is also nice. So he's got Sludge Wave on deck, which is good to note. Now that Goldengo's gone, I feel like we can pretty freely go for an Acid Spray here, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. It'll drop the special defense of whatever it hits by 2 stages. He actually goes for a Toxic Spikes, though, interestingly enough, so that's almost his full set revealed. He gets 1 layer of Toxic Spikes up on us as we go for the Acid Spray. Not going to do much of any damage to that thing, but it is go... Oh, never mind, he's Clear Body. I'm stupid. And he's got Black Sludge. So, never mind. Yeah, so I guess hypothetically we didn't know he was Clear Body, but he is Clear Body, and we know that now. So, so the Acid Spray, not really going to do much of anything, as he gets 1 layer of Toxic Spikes up, which could be a problem, because obviously we do have a way to get rid of that in the form of the Sneasler, but at the same time, we can't just be freely switching Sneasler in. So, the question now is, what does he do? I feel like the Reflect is gone, right? Or the light screen is gone, right? The light screen ran out, so we still have a few turns of Reflect. He probably goes for the next layer of Toxic Spikes, if I had to guess. So I feel like, I mean, I feel like we could go Rotom here. I don't think he, yeah, I feel like, but I don't want to go Rotom with the special defense increase down. So you know what? Let's drop a Draco, see how much damage that gets. He does just flip turn. Okay, so that's actually a pretty good turn of events for us. So he flip turns out. That's better than I hoped for, because now he's going to have to bring something in on a Draco Meteor, which is really good for us. So it's going to be the Dunsparce. So that thing comes in into a Draco. Can we hit it? Yes, we do connect with the Draco Meteor, and it does massive damage to this thing, knocking it down to about a 1/3 HP, which is amazing. We do take the special attack drop, but it's worth it. We get some HP back with the leftovers. That thing's also going to get some HP back with its leftovers. So that's good to note. We want to make a note of that. So I feel like it's actually really close if another Draco Meteor takes this thing out, so I kind of want to just go for it. We know we should be outspeeding this thing, so let's just go for the Draco again and hope it's enough. Okay, we go for it. Second Draco. Is it enough? No, it's not quite enough to take that thing out, unfortunately. He survives just barely in the red, and he roosts, which is unfortunate. Gets most of his HP back, so that's unfortunate. And yeah, so now we definitely have to switch out. The only question is, what do we switch into against this thing? We do not have the most ideal of switches, and the reason for that is because he's got Toxic Spike up, so we cannot just switch Sneasler in willy-nilly on this thing, so something's going to have to get poisoned unless we go Rotom. And if we go Rotom, there's a high probability we get knocked out, which we kind of don't want. Based on what he has left, I like the Grimmsnarl into what he has left. Rotom just might have to be the one to switch in here. I feel like it has to be. Yeah, I feel like it has to be Rotom, because we don't want to get anything poisoned. So hopefully, I mean, he could just attack us, which would suck, but we just have to go Rotom here. That's our only play. So we come in with Rotom, and we're sitting at about a 1/3 HP. He does go for the Stealth Rock, which is kind of fine, so this definitely could be more of a support set on this Dunsparce, so, as it is one of his Terra Captains as well. So he gets the rocks up on us, which is a little unfortunate, as we have no way to get rid of that. and he gets some HP back with the leftovers. Our Reflect is over as well. But I feel like, once again, we can pretty safely go for that Choice Specs Volt Switch right now. We could also Hydro Pump alternatively, but I feel like Volt Switch is the right play. So we'll do Volt Switch again, see what he wants to do. He does actually switch, which is perfect. Maybe we can get some initiative on something here. He does come in with Typhlosion. That's a very interesting and risky play. So he comes in with Hisuian Typhlosion to frisk our Choice Specs, which is kind of fine. We get a Choice Specs Volt Switch on that thing, does massive damage to it. And then, of course, we do get the pivot out. And I think what we want to do now before the Toxic Spikes have a chance to take effect is we want to come in with Sneasler purely for the fact that we want to soak those Toxic Spikes up. So we come in with Sneasler. We're going to take the Stealth Rock chip, but we do get rid of the Toxic Spikes, which is really what we need. And now we definitely just switch out with Sneasler. And I feel like we pretty easily could go into Goodra here. We could alternatively go into Grimmsnarl because our screens are down at this point. What does he go for? I feel like he either goes for the Fire move or the Ghost move, obviously. Either way, Goodra's relatively fit to handle a special attack, obviously. So I feel like we just go Goodra here. I think that's probably the safest play. So we'll just go Goodra and see what he wants to do, as here we go. And we are, of course, going to take the Stealth Rock damage, as he is going to go for a Will-O-Wisp, which is kind of fine. It does land to burn us, which is unfortunate, because it is going to obviously reduce our, or cancel out our leftovers recovery, I should say. So Will-O-Wisp on the Hisuian Typhlosion is good to note, and then we do take the leftovers recovery and the burn damage. So the question now is, what do we go for? And I feel like the Draco Meteor is pretty free at this point, honestly. So it should hopefully do some good damage to Tentacruel if he comes in with that. So I feel like the Draco is the play here. So we're just going to Draco and see what he wants to do. He's going to go ahead and Terra. I did neglect this was his other Terra Captain. So what Terra type is he is the real question. It is going to be, okay, it is Fairy. So this was a possibility. So he does go Terra Fairy, which is bad news because our Draco's not going to do anything. He does go for a Terra Blast Fairy. He's got that on deck. How much damage is it doing to the Goodra is the question. Does massive damage to the Goodra, unfortunately. And then we go Draco and it doesn't do anything. So that is an unfortunate turn of events for us there, as we are going to get some HP back with the leftovers and take the burn damage. So unfortunately, he definitely got us with the Terra there. Not much we can do about that. I feel like the only thing we can do here at this point is just try to fire off, and we know we're not going to survive an attack from this thing. So I feel like all we can do at this point, I think Goodra just has to go down here, unless he over-predicts. But let's just try to fire off a Flamethrower and see what he does. But he does just go for another Terra Blast, yeah, because unfortunately we just don't have a switch to that Terra Blast right now. So the next Terra Blast is going to eliminate the Goodra, unfortunately, and that is going to knock us down to 5 Pokemon. So we do lose Goodra there, which is unfortunate. So he has Terra Blast Fairy. Okay, so what do we want to do now to try and take this thing on? I feel like our best answer probably has to be the Indeedee, right? Yeah, I think it has to be the Indeedee. Yeah, I think it's the Indeedee. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and come in with Indeedee here. Now, we have to be very careful how we play this. So we come in with Indeedee. We're going to take some chip from the Stealth Rock. We do get the Psychic Surge to set the Psychic Terrain on the battlefield. So the question at this point is, does he switch to try to save this thing? I feel like he kind of might. And so does he make the bold play of switching in with the Roaring Moon, predicting the Psychic move? I feel like the safest play here is the Dazzling Gleam, because I feel like, I don't know if it may not be enough to take him out, unfortunately, if we do, if he stays in, but I feel like he doesn't stay in here, and I feel like his only switch predicting the Psychic move would be Roaring Moon. Yeah, I feel like we go Dazzling Gleam here. So let's Dazzling Gleam. He does stay in, interestingly enough, and the Dazzling Gleam's not quite enough to take him out, unfortunately. That's really unfortunate as he goes for the Terra Blast. How much damage is it doing? Not quite enough to take us out, fortunately. So he's got to know that we're Scarf probably at this point. So we just Dazzling Gleam again here. As he does stay in, we are going to get rid of the Hisuian Typhlosion with a Dazzling Gleam, which is nice. To eliminate that thing. It did do quite the number on our team, actually, but we do get rid of it and knock him down to 3 Pokemon. So that is good news for us. He probably will assume we are choiced into Dazzling Gleam at this point, which, you know, could be a bad thing, but we'll see what happens as he comes in with the Dunsparce once again. So I feel like we have to switch out here in this situation, and I think what I want to do, I'm not 100% sure what else the Dunsparce is going to want to do, but I think we probably go... I feel like we probably go Grimmsnarl so that we can try to get some screens back up here. I think that's the play, so that's what we're going to do here. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So what else does the Dunsparce want to do is the question. So we're going to come in with Grimmsnarl, see what he wants to do. As we take the Stealth Rock damage, unfortunately, he is going to go for an Ice Spinner, interestingly. Okay, can we take that? Yes, thankfully we can take that. So that is actually going to destroy the terrain, though, which is interesting to note. So he's got Ice Spinner on deck with the Dunsparce, so that's interesting to note. So we definitely start getting our screens back up here, no question about that. Reflect is going to be first order of business. We want our screens up, absolutely. He does stay in. We go Reflect to get that physical defense boost for several turns here. As he goes for another Ice Spinner, we should be able to take it, and just barely indeed we do, as this thing is going to get some HP back with the leftovers. Once again, we don't know his last move, though, which is a little concerning. Yeah, now we have a choice to make, because we could either try to chip this thing or we can get our other screen up. And I feel like... Is it worth it? Based on what he has left, he's got... The only special attacker he has left is Tentacruel, and it's not purely special. So I feel like getting the other screen up is not worth it. I feel like chipping this thing is more worth it at this point in time. So let's go for the Sucker Punch here and see what he wants to do. We do get a Sucker Punch. Doesn't do much of any damage, unfortunately. It actually does activate his Rattle to increase his speed. Not sure if that's going to matter. He goes for an Ice Spinner, takes us out with a critical hit. That didn't matter. So that speed increase might actually be a problem for us, believe it or not. So the Dunsparce gets some HP back with the leftovers. We go down to 4 Pokemon, and now we have a decision to make here. And I think what we want to do... Because now the problem is, now he's going to outspeed us. Because before we couldn't, Rotom would outspeed him, but now after that Rattle boost, I think Rotom's actually going to get outsped here. So we have a couple of choices here. We could go into... How do we want to play this? We know he can't Terra, which is important. I feel like this might be the time for Mudsdale to come in, because I think this is Mudsdale's time. We're going to have to play this carefully, but I think Mudsdale comes in here. I think Mudsdale's the right play here in Terra, because we'll come in with Mudsdale, and we can obviously go... We're going to take some Stealth Rock damage. Now, we can obviously bust out our Terra here to resist the Ice Spinner, which is, I think, what we want to do. So we're going to go Terra Fairy to resist the Ice Spinner, and then we're going to try to take this thing out with a close combat. He could switch into Roaring Moon. He could switch into Tentacruel as well, but I'm not super worried about that because the physical defense is up. So also, yeah, we'll just do it. We'll close combat, see what he wants to do. He does stay in perfect. So we're going to go ahead and Terrastallize the Mudsdale. This is the first time this season that Goodra is not going to be the one to Terra. It is going to be Mudsdale. We are going to go Terra Fairy here on the Mudsdale, losing our prior weaknesses, which hopefully will let us take on the Roaring Moon if it comes down to that. He does outspeed us, and he actually goes for a Glare, so that could be bad news. He paralyzes us. Hopefully we don't get fully parried here, and we don't get fully parried. We go for the close combat. It's not quite enough to take this thing out, unfortunately, as we are going to take some defense drops. So we know his last move is Glare, so that is unfortunate that the close combat was not quite enough to take him out there. He gets some HP back with the leftovers. We get some HP back with the leftovers. And this thing is really proving to be quite the thorn in our side here. So he's probably going to roost if I had to guess now. I don't know if he can gain enough HP back to survive, but I feel like at this point, he probably roosts, right? So we could go for our Stealth Rock. We could go for another close combat. I feel like he's probably high enough after the roost that the close combat doesn't take him out. So let's try to get a Stealth Rock up instead. He could switch. He does roost, yeah. So kind of figured that was coming. So there's the roost. He goes back up to almost full HP. We go for a Stealth Rock, get the entry hazard up, which may hopefully be valuable to us later. And then yeah, he's going to get some HP back. We're going to get some HP back. So certainly this thing is proving to be quite the thorn in our side. So let's check our terrain. Okay, so we still have 4 more turns of Reflect. I feel like I don't want to drop our defense, but at the same time, we got a close combat for more damage. So that's close combat again. He does actually switch this time. Does he go Tentacruel, predicting another close combat? He does. Okay. So he does go Tentacruel. That thing comes in, and then it does take the Stealth Rock damage. We do go for the close combat, unfortunately. Does some chip damage, not a lot, but it does chip the Tentacruel down, which is valuable. He is going to get some HP back with the Black Sludge, which is unfortunate. And now we really have no choice but to switch. And I feel like... what do we switch into here? We don't know what Tentacruel's last move is. But I feel like... what do we do? Do we go Rotom? Or do we go... Indeedee? Let's go... I feel like we have to go Rotom here. Yeah, let's go Rotom, because we can't... I don't think we can just switch Indeedee in willy-nilly, because we can't take an attack from this thing. So we'll come in with Rotom. We might not even be able to tag an attack with Rotom after the Stealth Rock damage, but we come in with Rotom, take the Stealth Rock. He does go Sludge Wave, and we can't take it, unfortunately. So we lose Rotom there, and we go down to 3 Pokemon. So this is definitely going tightened up quite a bit here as he gets some HP back with the Black Sludge. Now, we have a pretty big decision to make right now. We could come in with the Mudsdale, or we could come in with the Indeedee. Now, the only problem if we come in with the Indeedee is simply this. If we come in with Indeedee, he could switch into the... yeah, I feel like we come in with Indeedee here. Do we come in with Indeedee? Yeah, I feel like we come in with Indeedee here. Yeah, we come in with Indeedee here. So he very easily could switch, right? We take the Stealth Rock damage. He could very easily switch to the Roaring Moon, which could be a big problem. We get the Psychic Surge back up. I feel like... this is tough. I really want to go for the Expanding Force. I feel like he might not risk the Roaring Moon, though, because he saw that we went Dazzling Gleam before, but that could make him all the more likely to do it now. Let's Expanding Force. He does stay in. Okay, so we catch this thing. Expanding Force connects, takes out the Tentacruel. Amazing work, knocking him down to 2 Pokemon. So that is pretty amazing for us. You love to see that. So now he's going to go ahead and come in with the Dunsparce. This thing is just an absolute thorn in our side. Takes some Stealth Rock damage, of course. And yeah, he's going to Ice Spinner here. I don't think there's any question in my mind he Ice Spinners here. So the only question is, we can't... I feel like it might be now or never for the Sneasler. And the reason I say that is because he should be within range at this point. Unless he makes a really smart play and glares, but I feel like he goes Ice Spinner here. If we come in with Sneasler, I feel like he Ice Spinners to try and take us out. So if we come in with Sneasler, we still have the defense boost for one more turn. Yep, let's do Sneasler. Let's do Sneasler and hope he doesn't make a really ballsy play and go for a glare or something. So we're gonna go ahead and switch Sneasler in here, predicting the Ice Spinner. We come in, we take the Stealth Rock damage, and we are going to pop our Psychic Seed, unburdening the Sneasler, doubling its speed, as he is gonna go for an Ice Spinner. Predicted correctly. Ice Spinner does no damage. It does get rid of the terrain, but it doesn't matter. Because we are unburdened at this point. Now, the only question is, can a close combat take him out from this range? And I feel like the answer is yes. We don't have time to Swords Dance. The Reflect is off. We know he has Glare as well, so we just close combat here. There's nothing to think about. We obviously outspeed. Close combat incoming. It is enough to finally take that damned Dunsparce down, knocking him down to just one Pokemon, which is absolutely amazing for us. And his last Pokemon is that Roaring Moon, so he is going to go ahead and come in with that, and he is going to take some Stealth Rock damage, breaking a potential Focus Sash, but he is actually Booster Energy instead, which is going to go ahead and increase his speed, but that shouldn't matter because we should be with the Unburden activated fast enough to outspeed him regardless. So we go close combat 100% of the time here. We do outspeed, close combat incoming. It is going to be more than enough to go ahead and take that Roaring Moon out, and that is game. Alright, so we are going to win that one 3-0 against Kobra, but that was a really good match actually. Pretty close, pretty competitive affair honestly. We definitely started off strong, started to slip a little bit in the middle, but then brought it back toward the end for a pretty solid showing there. Which is pretty awesome for us. All right. But very good, very hard-fought game all around there. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to say that the Philadelphia Pidgeys will now advance to a 7-1 record here in the BHDL4. Absolutely amazing. As I had mentioned before, this is going to mathematically lock us in to bare minimum 4th place here in the standings, as there's only 1 week left of the regular season, which means, of course, that we will not be able to be selected no matter what happens next week. We will not fall below 4th place, which means we won't be able to be selected by another coach, which is exactly what I was hoping for. So yeah, very, very happy to take the win in this one. As I said, due to scheduling conflicts in a busy week, there will be no recap this week. As you can see, this game is already going up late as is, due to some scheduling issues. So there will be no Captain's Recap this week. We'll just come back with the Week 9 battle next week. It will be our final week of the regular season here in the BHDL4, and then after that, of course, we'll be back with the Week 9 recap to close off the regular season here. So, but that's it for this one. Thanks for watching again, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed. Please hit that like button, leave a comment, and or subscribe if you did enjoy, and stay tuned for more new battles in the future. So, that's it, and we'll see you next time.